upcoming events. Stay tuned. Be Local Buzz with Devin takes you to these places, introduces you to the best businesses, and tells you about upcoming buzz. Preset your radio to Tan Talk 1340 AM or 106.1 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. That is the Be Local Buzz with Devin on Tan Talk 1340 AM and 106 FM every Thursday from 4 to 5. Looking forward to speaking with you.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
Caregivers around the world today. It's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned on the show where you can find help and hope. And with me, as always, or today, is my best friend, co-host, and sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley.
Good afternoon. Nice to be here.
How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Doing well.
Okay, it's pretty hot out there today, huh?
It's going to be very hot, but it beats snow.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
My cousins just got back from Banff, Alberta, and there was snow on the ground still.
Oh, it's crazy. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. My cousins, Cindy, in Michigan last night, they had a tornado in Michigan last night. My cousins, their whole gazebo, everything is ripped off the back of their house, and they still don't have power. None of them. But it kind of makes me feel good because everybody always goes, oh, you live in Florida with all those storms. Yeah. Who would want to live there? You know, weather is weather. Mm-hmm. We have no control over Mother Nature. Wherever you live, who knows what's going to happen? So.
Well, Wisconsin got really whacked too.
Yeah.
I mean, tornadoes, I forget how many.
The world is crazy. All of it is. I don't know. And we have Mr. Ed on the boards today. How you doing, Ed?
Hanging in there, doing a little stuff on the side here.
Good. Okay, that's good. And with me, we have my friend Maryanne Fisher from Arden Courts. We're going to chat a little bit.
Looking forward to it. Good to be here.
And we also have Skylar Lurch from Angels On Call Cleaning.
Happy to be here.
Happy that you're here. So the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to our newest listeners. We have Ginger in St. Pete. We have Barb in Largo. And we have Betty in Dunedin.
Welcome, ladies.
And like I always say, there's plenty of room around the Connecting Caregivers table for more listeners. If you listen when we're live on AM and FM or Facebook or YouTube or my website or wherever they'll take us out there, we're out there. So it's very interesting, you know, recently on my YouTube channel, I'm finding that a lot of my newest listeners are men from the ages of 40 to 60.
That's interesting.
Well, I think more men are getting involved in caregiving and we're talking about it more now and everything. But where do men get their information?
From women?
No,
that's
YouTube.
what I was, their wives.
Or YouTube University.
Okay.
Right? They go to YouTube for everything, I think.
They do.
So it's very interesting. But anyway, we picked a winner for our caregiver contest.
We did?
Yes, Cookie Lopez. Oh. And she will be on the show on May 30th. Cookie's been in my support groups and comes to hear me speak and stuff like that. And she takes care of her husband, Ralph. And she's just absolutely fabulous. But we'll see Cookie when she comes on May 30th.
Oh, have fun.
I'm very excited because the last couple of winners we have for the contest were out of state. So we didn't get to really meet them. Mm-hmm. And plus, when we have the contest winners locally, we can give more stuff out because I get more stuff. So, she's going to get, a massage, facial, some respite care if needed, a whole bunch of really good stuff. So I have to call my daughter. Hopefully she gets a haircut and a blowout too. We'll have to see. Yeah, so Cookie will be here. So Maryanne, we've had a relationship. I don't know how many years. It's now like 20 years I've been working with Arden Courts. And you've been working with Arden Courts longer than I've been with Arden Courts. And I love Arden Courts.
Thank you very much.
It's such important, people ask me all the time about a memory community. And the only place I would pick would be Arden Courts. Because of how Arden Courts is. One of the things that I love about Arden Courts is people work there 20, 25 years.
Easily.
How many communities have that?
Not many. My director actually opened our building 26 years ago. Yeah. I've been with the company since 1987. Over half of our caregivers, I think 2017, caregivers and
Well,
staff.
and even
So,
like maintenance staff.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
stuff.
That's everybody. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It doesn't
So,
happen anymore.
I think it really shows how Arden Courts is such a family kind of community.
Mhm.
You know, I do a support group in Seminole. And recently at the support group, there were people that had loved ones there in Arden Courts.
Okay.
And there were people there that had loved ones in other communities.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started comparing apples to oranges, the other people were like, oh my goodness,
Right.
we're not in the right place.
Mhm.
Like one woman said, her husband has no air conditioning.
Oh no.
Is that ridiculous? No air
That's
conditioning.
dangerous.
That's actually dangerous. Yeah. Especially
We're
in Florida.
all like appalled,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the group. And then she tells us, since he's not as mobile as the other
Mhm.
people are, when they go out, wherever they go, they don't take them. They leave them behind.
Oh.
So what is he going to be punished because he has a little bit of a mobility issue? And it's not like he's in a wheelchair. He's on a walker.
Right. That's a shame.
So, we don't have to worry about that with Arden Courts. And I love about Arden Courts, because I'm just going to brag on you. Arden Courts, everybody can go outside.
Yes.
You
We've
can
got
go
walking
outside and
paths
walk
that are
around.
almost a mile long, actually.
Yeah.
12 different doors go outside. They can walk along and come back in another
And
doorway.
feel free.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many places, especially after COVID, they're like, oh, we have memory here now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on the third floor. Everyone's locked up.
Mm-hmm.
No one's trained in memory.
Exactly.
One of the cool things they did recently in Seminole, one of the ladies in my support group, her husband loves to, they use the blower and blow leaves.
Uh-huh.
So they got
So
him a
he's doing
blower.
it. Yep. Oh, that's fabulous.
So they got him a blower.
Well, that's purposeful programming. That's something we believe in. Purposeful. It needs to
Yeah.
make them feel good about themselves.
Well, who doesn't want to feel good?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still alive.
Not just doing silly stuff, doing
Right.
stuff that is purposeful.
It's something that I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Exactly.
something that I'm used to.
Right.
So I think that's a really big deal. So how would someone know if it's time for memory care versus assisted living?
That's actually a great question, because that's what I hear a lot of times. People will come to me and say, I think it's memory. I think it's assisted.
I'm
How
not
do
so
I know
sure.
the difference? So the license is the same. So there are different standard. There's a standard license and there's a higher license in LNSs, which we have. So we have a nurse around the clock, and we can do some more medical things like colostomy bag and oxygen, that kind of thing. But the biggest difference between regular assisted and memory, I'll always ask someone the same thing. Would you leave your loved one in a hotel over the weekend alone? Because an assisted living,
That's a good factor to look at.
yeah, because assisted living has a beautiful meals. They have
Right,
great
looks like a hotel.
activities, but you have to ask somebody to get you to the dining room. You have to ask somebody to help you to the bathroom, to get you to activities. You're alone a lot of the time.
Right.
So if you would leave your loved one in the hotel on a Friday, afternoon, and be comfortable not picking them up until Sunday morning, then they probably can make it in regular assisted. But usually the
That's a
answer is
great-
no. Because our people need hand holding. They wouldn't come to the dining room if we didn't bring them. They wouldn't come
Right.
to the activity. Or they would just sit in their room. They might not even turn the light on in their room,
Well,
So-
and unfortunately, there are some communities where they're doing that.
Yes, exactly. Well,
But
and
they
that's what
are
happens.
just
They kind of get
sitting
forgotten
in their
regular
room.
assisted living. That's what will happen with somebody with memory care, that needs memory care. They'll get forgotten in the assisted living. They'll, just kind of stay there in the room, not getting out, not doing much. Sometimes the other residents notice that they're forgetful, and there's a little bit of a mean girls club, honestly. So
It's sad.
you don't want that.
Well, then some people think, it's contagious,
Mhm,
and all
mhm.
that kind of nonsense. It's just be kind.
Yeah. But that's
Just please
I
be
always tell
kind.
people to ask that question to yourself. Would you leave them in a hotel?
Yeah.
That's regular assisted living.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's a great, I like that analogy. So what's the biggest challenge when, all right, so this is what they come to the support group. When, Linda, when is it time? When is it time?
When someone mentions that in my support group, I feel like the resident, it already is time. It's
Yeah,
when the
'cause-
caregiver is losing patience, when the caregiver isn't doing the things like they know they should be doing.
Well, that's what I say. When
Yeah.
I always tell them, I say, when they're no longer safe,
hmm
or when you're ready to jump off the building.
Exactly. When you can't do it anymore. Because
Right.
they've probably been ready for 4 months.
Right.
They would benefit already.
Mhm.
They would benefit already from it.
And then I find the biggest thing is too, they're like, oh my God, I told my husband I would never do this.
Mhm.
And like, he's not going to love me anymore. And blah, 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 blah. Well, we find out after a short period of time, their loved one is there having a merry old time. It's their issue.
Well,
It's my issue as the caregiver, because now I go home, I'm all alone.
Right. Empty nest. It's harder for them.
Yeah.
You know, they actually get their relationship back because as a spouse, you know,
They get
or
to be
even
the
a
wife
daughter,
or the daughter.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing just the medicine and the showers and the ordering of getting the food and all that stuff. You know, you get to come and just snuggle with them on the couch or come and go with them to an activity or sit on the swing out back or in the gazebo and, you know, just be a wife again or be a child
And you
again.
know they're safe. And you
Right.
know, because you have people there 24/7.
24/7. And we do something that I know nobody in Pinellas does other than us. We do something called hourly checks. So every hour, 24 hours a day, our caregivers have to lay eyes on the resident and write down where they are. You know, Maryanne's in the bedroom, Linda's in the living room, actually lay eyes on them because safety is one of our biggest worries.
Yeah, and you know what? They're good escape artists.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just their
They can be.
personalities. You know, I always tell my family, my granddaughter's here today, that if I ever get dementia, you guys are in big trouble because I know every trick in the book. You know? But
Do you
really,
remember when Jack took off? I was with my husband.
Okay.
We had a condo, and the nurse was come overnight so I could get some sleep. He says, "I'm going to bed." I went to bed.
Mhm.
Knock at the door, and I know the nurse forgot her key.
Right.
I get up, no, it's my husband out there in his diaper,
Oh, no.
walking up and down the hall, going, "Nobody's out, nobody to
Where
play
is
her
with."
husband was the man who was always in the suit. You know,
Aw.
So I just said to him, "Everybody goes to bed early here. Come on in." But I didn't know he'd gone out.
You didn't hear him. No.
Yeah.
He was that quiet.
I was
Wow.
that tired.
You were that
Yeah,
tired.
both. Yeah,
Right.
I think it's
Combination.
both. So let's talk about some tips for activities for people at home, because I think engagement,
Mhm.
whether you're at home or whatever level you're at,
Mhm.
is one of the very most important things.
It is. It is for programming, even at home, I would say routine.
Mhm.
If you're listening to the same, you know, I'll say God Bless America every morning or whatever it is, maybe a prayer or whatever it is, listening to, of course, music is wonderful. They love those automated cats and dogs. Some of them do.
Yeah.
Oh, they have
but-
some really
but-
nice
but-
new ones.
But,
Yeah.
but back to just keeping them busy, even though you've already washed the dishes and you maybe don't need help, have them put them back in the silverware
And they
drawer.
might not do it good. Who
Who
cares?
cares? Exactly, because they're
Who
going to
cares?
feel good about themselves.
You know, I always
Mhm.
say if I'm cutting the fruit salad, I can probably do it like in 10 minutes.
Right.
If mom's going to do it with me,
Mhm.
it's probably going to be about like a half hour.
Yep.
Or maybe longer.
Right.
But who am I serving?
Right.
Because people say to
And
me,
what are you in a hurry about?
Mom is just sitting in the chair. She doesn't do anything anymore. You took everything
Give her
away from
something.
her.
Right, right. Give them
That was the
something to
hardest
do.
thing for me because
Right,
Because you want to get it done.
I
Right.
want everything done now.
right,
Yeah.
right,
But who are you serving? Because then they stop doing stuff.
right. And you put it in the task in different steps. You know, different steps. So it really can be a long project. Okay, I want you to wash
exactly,
this
because
and lay
they don't
wash all the
remember
berries
what
and
all
put them
the
from one
steps
bowl
are.
to the other. Okay, now they're all washed. Now I want you to put them all on the blue plate.
Right.
And you just
Because they don't
you make it
remember the
long.
steps.
Right, right.
You know. But I always try to tell people, think of what they did before. Think of
Mhm.
what their occupation was. So like my mom, for instance. And my mom, I didn't know my mom had dementia until after she was dead. She just was a
Mhm.
little goofy, and she had been doing some chemo drugs and everything. But so my mom would come to my house. She'd be like, Linda, is there anything I can do to help you?
Mhm.
I'd be there's like some laundry in the basket there if you
Right.
want to fold it. She's like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay. Be like a half hour later. Linda, is there anything I can do to help you? I go, well, there's a couple of dishes in the sink if you want to what. I don't want to do
She didn't
that.
want to do that either. Oh no.
What the heck? So my mother was a legal secretary. And in her day, that was a big deal.
Mhm, mhm,
So I went to Staples and I printed out 500 phony letters and
mhm,
500 phony labels.
mhm.
And I said, Mom, if you can just stick these labels on these envelopes and fold them up and put it in
For
the
me,
envelopes,
you're helping me.
it would help me with my business so much.
Mhm.
And it took her 5 nights watching Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Uh-huh.
When she gave it to me, she was so proud
Of course she was.
that she helped me. It was the best $20 I ever spent. I went out, tossed it in the dumpster, and I got her a little gig at the Chamber of Commerce helping them with the
I was going to say,
newsletter every
but
month.
back when I worked in this skilled nursing center, we actually did that for, it was the Red Cross or something, or the Vials of Life.
Yeah.
They would drop these things off in big boxes. And I had 3 little ladies that would just like all the time
Yeah.
work on them. And they were so proud. They really
Well, you know
were.
what? You find something to this. So, like, my mother was a legal secretary. So, we have another caregiver. Her mom was a banker.
Okay.
So, we give her a big jar with all coins in it
Mhm.
and all the wrappers. And she
Mhm.
spends all day long wrapping this up because she's
Oh,
helping the girls at the
wow.
bank.
Right, right.
And so her daughter tells her, and tonight I'm going to bring the coins to the bank.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
And so when her mom goes to bed, she dumps them all out, and she
Tomorrow
gives them
morning,
to
we
her
got
the
them
next
again.
morning. But mom feels like she's helped somebody.
Exactly.
Don't
Yeah.
pull that on me. I'm going to take him to Publix and put him in the machine.
I'm gonna have you polish the jewelry.
I was
That
just
would
gonna
be
say,
your
sorting
job.
jewelry is fun. Sorting jewelry is a
That
nice
could
little
be-
job.
Well, there's another lady. She was a seamstress, so we give her a jar of buttons, right? And then these little boxes, and she sorts them by color or shape or size. And every now and then, she picks up this one button and she goes, "Just like the one on your communion dress I made for you."
Oh,
And then they sit down and they have a conversation.
right.
My
That's
heart.
amazing. Yeah.
My heart, please don't ignore me. Please just talk to me
Mhm.
and find out what I can talk about and whatever.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go a little further here. We have a big thing coming up here.
We
now,
have a
so let's
wonderful
talk
lunch
about
and learn
that.
coming up. We have a lunch and learn coming up on June 3rd.
Right
Here we go.
here.
Here it is. Yep, on June 3rd. It's called Navigating Care for Your Loved One from the Beginning to End. And we have some excellent speakers that are going to be on a panel. It's going to be a panel seminar.
Yep.
You're of course going to host it and,
Yes.
and keep the questions going, keep us organized. But then there'll be time for the audience to have, specific one-on-one questions too.
And some of the people we're going to have here is Dr. Sheila Sager,
Mhm. She's our medical director at Arden Courts. Plus she has office hours in the Palm Harbor area.
which is fabulous. And then we have Lori Smeltzer.
Yes, who we love. We love
So
Lori.
she's a certified aging life care professional and
Mhm.
owner of Advanced Senior Solutions. And then we have Shantaine, is it how you say it?
Shantaine or Chantel? Hold on. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Yes, Shantaine. You're correct.
Spiegel.
Mhm.
And she's an elder care attorney.
Excellent. Mhm.
Debbie Humphrey, from the owner of Home Helpers Home Care.
Mhm.
Maryanne and Cheryl Hanson. I love Cheryl.
Mhm.
From Suncoast Hospice Empath Health. So we're here to answer your questions.
Mhm.
Lots of times people have questions and they don't know where to go and what to do. You can come to a seminar right here. You're going to have a bunch of professionals and myself that you can ask questions to. And believe me, though, if there's something that we don't have the answer for, we'll find somebody.
We'll find someone
does.
that does. Yeah, exactly.
Because we are so blessed to be in this senior community where we are, where professionals really want to make a difference.
Yeah, and they work together well. They work together well and want to help each other.
Well, you know what? There's plenty of business for all of us,
Mhm.
especially
definitely.
here in Florida. God's waiting room.
Exactly.
Oh, it is. What better place to be?
Mhm.
Where would I want to be? If I'm going to be in God's waiting room, I mean, none of us are getting out alive.
Yeah. No.
So
Mhm.
if I'm going to be in God's waiting room, I want it to be sunny,
Mhm.
not like, be in God's waiting room in Alaska. I
The
don't know.
saddest thing in Florida, though, is people come down as snowbirds
Mhm.
and then they retire and they move here and then they get very old and their kids
And their
move them
kids are
back.
gone. Their kids
Yeah.
are.
And
their
they
kids
move
are
them back
there.
to the cold.
Mhm.
It's so nice here. At least it's warm.
Mhm.
Well, you know what? We have an opportunity, and I'm sure you have long distance caregivers.
Plenty. Well,
Their
honestly,
loved
it's
one
more
is-
costly up north, really, and there's more choices down here. So sometimes it's better than just to visit every month and have somebody like Lori checking up on your loved one. So it depends. There's a lot of nice communities in this area. There's
Well,
more
you know what's
than
really
you
cool
would
about
have
Arden
other
Courts,
places.
like I'm telling her something about Arden Courts. You could be in Arden Courts in Ohio
Yes.
and decide you're going to move to Arden Courts in Palm Harbor,
Mhm.
and the buildings look exactly the same.
Exactly. And
Exactly.
we do that a couple
The
of years
pictures
ago.
on the walls, everything.
You wouldn't know you wouldn't know
You
were
wouldn't
in a
know you
different
moved.
building. And then
And
the
they don't.
routine's the same. The schedule, the staffing schedule, the typical day for the residents is the same. Because I moved, let me say this right, a couple years ago, I moved somebody from our building to Pennsylvania. And then about a little over a year ago, we had someone retire from the Seminole area. So we moved from Donna's building to his wife to my building because he's living in Tarpon.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, isn't that fabulous?
Yeah, it really
Because
is.
when
You
you
take
have
them
to,
for a drive and then they
Yeah,
just
take
sit
ice
there
cream.
home.
Take him for a drive, get ice cream. There's a specific way we do that.
is it?
Oh, that's funny.
Ice cream is solid.
Because they're full, they're busy. They're busy eating the ice cream, and then when we open the doors, we open both the doors. The two secure doors coming through the lobby, and they see that mural, and they recognize it,
Oh
and
my
they know
God.
I'm right where I belong. Oh, I'm back.
So brilliant.
I went for ice cream. I'm back.
So brilliant.
Mhm.
It is so brilliant.
Yeah.
And it takes such stress off the family too, because you make a decision for your loved one to go into a community
Mhm.
and then something changes.
Right.
And the thought of moving them, or like during COVID, the
That's
thought
why
of the things we went through. Some people took people home that they don't want to go back.
They want to not be able to see them,
And
and
they
they
couldn't
could go
take
back,
care of
or
them.
they couldn't go back.
Right.
I had somebody take someone home, not from our building, from another building in St. Pete where it first hit, and then the building wouldn't let her come back. Yeah, because she was out in the community, that kind of thing.
Well, and plus some of those caregivers thought, I can handle her.
Right. Yeah.
And they really
And
couldn't.
And they couldn't.
Because they were dealing with their own stuff too, with everything that was going on.
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges is moving someone, and people are nervous of how to do it. I know my mom needs this, or I know my spouse needs this, but how am I going to get this done? And I always just tell them, well, I'm going to help you. We're not just going to up and do it one day. We're going to do a very thorough assessment of someone, and we're going to meet them in person. And then we call it the story, and we're going to come up with a logical story. It might be a therapeutic fib of why you're coming. Yep. You're coming because it's hurricane season and you don't want to be alone. You're coming because we're getting new carpet put in the house, or your loved one's going to have knee surgery, but it has to be logical. Because they have dementia. They're not stupid,
his wife, he had to have lady surgery.
Yeah, that's
he's like, bye, go.
Yeah, she didn't.
So you have to know your person.
Yeah, exactly.
What works for your person, where someone else, a hurricane, could work for your person.
Right.
Right. And then it's always like, the conversation, especially in the beginning, they say they want to go home, they want to go home, they want to go home. And what I tell my caregivers is it's up to the doctor, not me.
Right.
And we have to wait blame it on the doctor, because they respect the doctor.
Right. And their generation respects it.
Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, that's true.
That'll be a whole other thing.
When the Gen Zers get there,
that's going to be a whole new, like Skylar's over there going, oh my God, I better listen to some of this stuff. All right. So where can our listeners find you and find Arden Courts, and how can they RSVP for the luncheon?
So I'm at Arden Court in Palm Harbor on Tampa Road. My phone number at the building is 727-771-1600. And if they want to come to our seminar on June 3rd, because it is a lunch and learn, and we want to be able to order lunch and such, you need to RSVP to the building at the 727-771-1600 number.
And it's from 10:30 to 12:30.
Correct.
And it's at Bethel Lutheran
Church, which is on McMullen Booth, right across from Countryside Hospital.
Yeah, it's really easy to get to.
Beautiful church. They're always lovely to host us.
And then what is this here?
We're having fun next week, actually.
I like having fun.
We are having a family fun event next week, and we're going to we'll have our photo booth up. We're asking people, this is of course Ruth, my activity director's idea. She wants everybody to bring their fur love, bring their dogs. And I guess they're putting paint on top of a canvas inside of a plastic bag with doggy peanut butter on the outside. So the dogs lick it and they make their art.
Oh my God.
I know. Who thinks of this stuff? So bring
activities director.
Yes, exactly. So bring your pet. We're going to have a caricature artist. We're going to have music, of course. We're going to have some fun games. We bought some Jenga pieces that are like this big.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
Some Uno cards that are like that.
That's fun.
So we're going to just family fun, just goofing off together.
Yeah, and that's what you do. And then you have a support group.
Our support group is every second Tuesday at 10 a.m. at our community. If you needed a loved one for adult daycare, if they needed to come, be with the residents during the meeting, just let me know ahead of time. And I facilitate that for the Alzheimer's Association along with Cheryl Hansen. Cheryl actually facilitates it with me.
Very cool.
So,
and right now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners, because you know the deal. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
Are you getting older, or are you taking care of somebody who is? Getting older creates new problems you probably never imagined. One of the big ones is, how do you pay for care? Care in your home, care in an assisted living facility, or care in a nursing home. Did you know that nursing home care in our community can cost up to $12,000 per month? For the last 33 years, our office has helped families access benefits, including Medicaid, VA, and PACE, to help pay for the cost of long-term care. Regardless of what your assets are or what your income is, you can qualify for these benefits. Proper planning and guidance are absolutely necessary to avoid being wiped out. Let us help. If you are in care or heading in that direction, we can help solve that problem. Take action now to obtain benefits to pay for the cost of care. Here are the 4 things that you need to do. 1, get a new power of attorney. Your old one probably isn't good enough. Get a healthcare surrogate and a living will. 3, get an estate plan that will not disqualify you from benefits. And 4, get a plan to qualify for Medicaid, PACE, or VA benefits to pay for the long-term care costs. Call us today for a free consultation, 727-539-0181, or go to flmedicaid.com and download our free book on Medicaid and planning for long-term care. I'm Sean Scott. I'm here to help.
Guaranteed to make you laugh through your tears, Linda Burhan's book, Good Night and God Bless, is filled with humor and heartfelt inspiration to aid anyone facing the challenge of caring for a loved one at the end of life. Her story offers hope for human strength and understanding of weaknesses during a difficult time. Life doesn't normally prepare us to become a loved one's caregiver. When it happens, it's usually sudden. A diagnosis of an illness, age-related frailty, dementia, and life suddenly is anything but normal. And because we don't even know what we don't know, where do we turn to for help or guidance? In Connecting Caregivers, Answers to the Questions You Didn't Know You Needed to Ask, Linda offers information, education, and inspiration from her own experience and from experts whose advice, practical tools, and personal stories will empower and guide you. Make sure to add these inspiring books to your collection today. Available on Amazon.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back. And as you know, I just love Arden Courts. It's like a mutual admiration society. We've worked together for a long time. And one other thing I want to mention before I forget is we're having a caregiver luncheon and social. Linda Burhans is having it on Wednesday, June 11th at 12 o'clock at Clear Sky on Park. So it's just going to be caregivers from my support groups and caregivers that I know and some whose loved ones have passed away. And we're just going to have lunch and have some conversation because, you know, I find the caregivers are like in the support group together and they meet each other and they're like, oh, we should have lunch, but nobody does it. Right. You know, so we're gonna do this one. I think we have like 8 of us coming so far, but we still have time.
Beautiful place and
it's
very
lovely.
clean.
Yep, and the prices are very reasonable. So it's Wednesday, June 11th at 12 o'clock at Clear Sky on Park. And if you want to come with us, you can call me at 727-365-8383 or email me at lindaburhans@aol.com. Okay, and now we have I keep wanting to say Skylar Rooney.
I know.
Now we have Skylar Lurch here, one of the owners of Angels on Call Cleaning. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. So we're going to talk a little. Skylar is my granddaughter.
It's the first time you've been on the show, right?
Yeah.
Your brothers have been on.
Yeah, both of your brothers have been on.
That is funny. I didn't know that.
I'll tell you, it's very interesting. Your brother Isaac. So Isaac is 12. And when Isaac came on the show, I said, Isaac, do you have anything to say to our listeners? And he went, hello. And that's all he said.
We're not social media trained.
Yeah, that's all he said.
Oh,
but when Nicholas was on the show,
I bet Nicholas.
I said, Nicholas, do you have anything to say to our listeners? Caregivers, you have to take care of yourself if you're going to take care of anybody else. And he kept it up, and I was like, Nick, I have a guest on the show.
Oh my! You gotta be like, take it
But
down,
that's
Nick.
their different personalities.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it's just what it is. So you and your mom own Angels on Call Cleaning.
Yes.
And that came to fruition during the pandemic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
So tell the story.
okay, during 2020, Nicole decided to open up Angels on Call Cleaning, and it all stemmed from she's also a hairdresser, so she was going into people's homes to do their hair, and especially a lot of our senior clients that we have, and realizing that a lot of these people needed some help in their homes and were definitely being neglected. So that's where it all started, of just seeing that people needed help and realizing we needed to do
all of a sudden your mother was like, oh, I have another house to clean. I have another house to clean. I'm a hairdresser. What am I going to do? You know, or you have like 7 or 8 people that work with you now.
Yeah.
And you go out there and you clean everybody's house and Airbnbs and everything. And I think the most important thing is you're licensed, insured, and bonded.
Yes.
Oh, are you? I didn't know that.
Everything. And all of we are growing. We just brought on a couple more employees, but all of them are our employees. We don't send any contractors, any people in your house that are not background checked. They're all covered under workers' comp, liability insurance, and everything. So
That's great.
You don't have to worry about any weirdos coming into your house.
Yeah, it's really important.
Right. Yeah, because
It's
a lot
really
of
important.
places don't do that. A lot of cleaning companies
No.
just send contractors in, and you don't know who's coming into your house.
Yeah, and that's the good thing if you're someone that's looking for a job, because you're always looking to hire too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Contact them because you know you're going to be with a team.
Yes.
And you know that if something happens and one person on the team can't be there to clean your residence or whatever, that someone else on the team is going to be there.
Yeah.
And you always work in teams of 2 or more, right?
Yes.
And you always go there first and give an estimate.
Yes. It's either myself or Nicole who always come in person and walk them through. Because especially for some people who have never had a house cleaner, it's a little scary letting people into your house.
Yeah.
And also a lot of people don't feel like they need the help or don't want to accept the help. So we come in and really walk you through the process of
You
what it
baby
looks
them.
like. Yeah. And just let them know that it is okay to have help. Like you don't want to be on your knees scrubbing down your shower in your free time, or you can't get on your knees and scrub
Exactly.
your shower in your
There
free
you
time.
go.
So you need a little bit of help so you don't end up in a
Well, and the thing is to know too that they don't have to have everything done.
no.
They can, just their big issues is their bathrooms and their kitchens and their floors. They can have that done.
Yeah.
But there's some people that it's hard for them to change their sheets.
Oh yeah.
You
We
know.
have a lot of clients. I have one client who is near and dear to my heart. We started with them before the hurricane, and they ended up having to be displaced and put in an apartment together, and they're both in their 90s. And unfortunately, they were in good shape because I think we're definitely, for the people who are not ready to go into assisted living or not at that point, we're definitely good people to be in there and help keep an eye on, your loved ones and whatnot. So they got displaced, got put into an apartment together. And all of a sudden, she didn't know the difference between a remote and a cell phone when she could hold a full conversation and never had any issues.
Trauma.
Yeah. And then they ended up having a roach problem in the apartment. And they were like, I thought this was normal. Like, I've never lived in an apartment. But no one was there. Their family lived out of state. So
Yep.
no one was there to handle the situation or help or change their sheets or do anything. So if we weren't there, I honestly...
And it's so important because I remember when your mom first started doing this, she went to this gentleman's house to cut his hair, and he lived in a mobile home. And she called me up and she's like, Mom, there's a gaping hole in the floor, and he has a piece of plywood over it, and he can't even move his wheelchair. So I called, he lived in Largo, so I called Office at Quattlebaum. Well, and I said, can you just do a welfare check on this guy for me, please? Oh, Joel called me 3 days later, and he goes, he's getting a brand new floor. He's getting a wheelchair lift. He's getting the whole thing from a grant.
Aww.
So people, and then your mother. Oh, and then this person needs a roof, and this person.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's driving around town seeing who else we can save next.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what our family is like.
Yeah.
We just want to help people. And I think the good thing to know too is, like I was saying earlier, about if you're looking for employment, they're going to go there and they're going to do an estimate, and they're never going to send you into a house that they wouldn't come in and clean themselves.
Absolutely. That is, yes, that's very important.
I owned a Molly Maid franchise years ago on Long Island. That's how your mother knows so much about.
Yeah.
And, there were people who would call and say, oh, my house is not that dirty, and you would go there and you'd be like, oh my God,
Yeah.
So, and there was just some places that maybe are dangerous.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because we never want anyone to feel embarrassed or bad about their situation, because it is what we do. But if it is like a biohazard situation,
Yeah.
or it's something really, I don't like to use the word scary, but we would get you some additional help from someone maybe a little more heavy duty.
Yeah.
But we would never send any of our employees into a scary situation or even where anyone ever made you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And you're never going to leave a customer flat either.
Yes. Oh, no, absolutely. Even if we came in and it's something that we couldn't help you with or wasn't something that we could do, we have between both of us plenty of connections to get someone help.
Yeah,
no matter
Skylar's
what it
learning
is.
to be a major networker.
Yeah.
It makes me so proud. Yeah, I'll tell you, Skylar's first networking meeting she ever went to, she was 18 months old. because I ran a networking organization at the time, and I used to bring her in the stroller, and she had her own little business card. It was Skylar Rooney, mascot, professional women in power. But it is about networking, though, and it is about meeting people, and it is about trying to help your clients as much as you can. So I know sometimes you have people that you clean, senior people that you clean their homes, but you speak to their children that live in another state.
Yes.
And you can say to their children, mom looks like maybe she needs a little more help.
Yeah.
Or because when mom talks to them, she goes, everything's great. Mom doesn't say, I fell last week and my leg is all black and blue.
Absolutely.
So to have that extra with someone you can trust.
Yeah.
And like when you do your Airbnbs, if something's wrong, because a lot of those people are out of state too, own them here. Oh, do you know the sink's leaking? Do you know the front door doesn't shut properly?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you can take care of that kind of stuff too.
We have to be the watcher of it all.
Yeah. And you've dealt with a lot of seniors. In fact, one of your favorite clients, Brian LeBlanc,
yes,
recently went to heaven, and he was fabulous. I mean, your
Yes,
mother
he
used
was
to go and
awesome.
cut his hair and clean at the same time.
I know.
Yeah.
When we-
So what are some of the things you think our listeners that are listening that have parents that might need a little help? What are some of the things they should look out for? And what are some of the things you see when you go in seniors' houses that seem it could be dangerous for them?
So I would definitely say in a lot of homes that seniors start to become unaware of changing their sheets or being like hygienic aspects, or re-wearing like the same like underwear or clothes, like, just that, because that's not necessarily, well, it is dangerous. It is dangerous because it can make you sick, of course. And a lot of,
Clutter, throw rugs.
Yes, throw rugs. And because I think, especially some of our clients, if they had a loved one that passed away, they sometimes come into like a little bit of a hoarding situation where they keep all their significant other stuff. So a lot of the times the house can become cluttered, or they don't have proper showers. Like they can't step, they don't have grab bars. I mean, there's really a lot of different hazards in a house when you're not,
you're not
prepared and mindful of
everything. And then what happens?
On.
We have the fall. And then what happens?
Yeah.
Everything changes.
Yeah, exactly. All everything it takes changes. Is one little incident, and it can.
And sadly to say, once there's one fall, many times there's a second fall. And if the one fall didn't do it, the second fall is definitely going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then what do we do? Well, Skylar and her husband said to me like a year or so ago, Grandma, when you get older, you can't stay in your townhome. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, because you get upstairs and downstairs. Upstairs and downstairs keeps me alive. I said, and if not, you're going to get me one of those scooter chairs. I go up the stairs.
The electric ones.
Thank you so much for caring about me. But I'm prepared. I had my bathroom done over, so I have a walk-in. I got a really tall toilet. I got a bidet.
Yeah.
Because I'm a clean girl now, but when I might get a little older, I might need a little assistance.
A little bit of help.
And I think people should have grab bars everywhere.
Is it true that you only need 2 baths a week?
Most assisted livings, that's how
it
the schedule
works,
is.
right?
It's 2 showers a week.
And there's hospitals like that too.
Hospitals like that too.
Yeah.
Now, we charge for level of care, or not for level of care. It's inclusive, so you can have a shower every day. It doesn't matter. The cost won't be any different for us. But typically it's because I was always told by nursing that their skin can get dry.
Yeah.
And like those really pretty lotions that you think are great from Bed Bath & Beyond with the scents in them.
With the scents, yeah.
They're awful. That just dries up their skin. I mean, if you look at some seniors, I mean, they just got little white, little flaky, skin that they don't need to wash that
They
off.
need Jergens.
Yeah.
The good stuff.
Yeah, but it is true that we have to watch out for those things. And the other thing to know, if you have a senior, you're not going to bathe them. You're a residential home cleaning service.
Yeah.
But they could have a home health care company maybe come in and maybe just bathe them twice a week. Because many times, you know what? My dad doesn't want me to bathe him. And I don't really want to bathe my dad.
Yeah.
So if we can get somebody in, and plus sometimes just getting somebody in makes them more ambitious to take a bath. Like with your husband, right? You don't want to take a bath. She hired a young girl. He's like, hell yeah, I'll get in the bathtub.
When's she coming next?
No, a lot of our senior clients who are fortunate to have a home health nurses and stay in their home we just come in and handle the cleaning aspect for them. So they have nurses there that help do all the other tasks to
Right.
bathe them and help whatnot.
Shop
But
and everything.
yeah, but a lot of them don't offer cleaning or the type of comprehensive cleaning that
Yeah,
we
they're
do
there
at
just
home.
for very light.
Yeah, very surface, just clean up the mess that was just made.
Yeah, you're focusing on the house. They're focusing on the person. Well, you're focusing on the
Exactly.
person too, but
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
But it's great that you can talk to their kids or that, and tell them, I think they need more help. I mean,
yeah.
not that you're going to do it because you're not
Yeah.
But we have
licensed, but you
resources.
know.
Yeah, because they don't always say anything or don't think it's a big deal, or like the bugs. They're like, well, it's an apartment. I just thought apartments had bugs, but I
Yeah.
told them, I'm like, this is not normal, and called his daughter immediately and got pest control services in.
His daughter's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, because they don't know. They FaceTime and they think it's great and they say they're fine, but they're not. They're
Yeah.
typically not fine. There's something going on.
Yeah, because nobody wants to worry anybody.
Yeah, no,
Or
exactly.
they don't know what's happening.
Well,
Yeah.
They
and
thought
you know
it
what
was
the
the right
is?
thing.
So my stepmother is 89 now, and she lives in Manhattan. She's not going out as much. Well, I get to see her at least on Zoom one day a week. I get to actually see her.
Yeah,
But like, I need to go back and visit. I need to go see her and be there for a couple of days because we're all aging and things change. And she's not going to tell me if she needs help with something. You know, Heidi.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
She's not,
You
I'm
need to
fine,
put
I'm
your
fine, I'm
arm
good. Like
around
when she
her.
goes on she comes on the Zoom. She's got her lipstick on. She's so pretty.
Yeah,
You
get all
know, and
dressed up.
everything. But you know, you worry.
A lot of people are too proud to ask for help,
Yeah.
especially, I don't want to say like your generation, but your generation is, you know, you guys are very strong-willed people.
Yeah.
You've been through.
What's she talking about?
In a good way. It's a good thing. But you guys are very independent and, you know.
Yeah, well, my mother's generation also.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
talking about how I hit the garage and the guy behind me and whatever, and finally she admitted, oh yeah, she hit the guy coming out of the parking lot 4 months ago. And I'm like, but she would never say.
Well, when my mother lived in New York, my brother kept calling me. She blew out another tire because there's curbs in New York
Yeah.
everywhere. And she kept hitting the curbs. And it was like, my brother would be like, I got to take over another tire. So when she moved down here, we just kind of like left the car in New York. She gave it to her friend Cigna's kid from the high school, you know, whatever. And so my mother came down here. She moved into Freedom Square and independent living. And I want a car. I picked her up every day. I took her everywhere. She didn't need no car. Plus, they had transportation there. So finally, after a little while, I go, okay, Mom, we're going to rent a car next week. And you'll drive that car around for a week. And if you feel comfortable, then we'll talk about getting you a car. And I rented like the biggest car I could find. And so I go to
An 18-wheeler.
So I go to pick her up. It's like day 3. She's still getting in the passenger seat. So day 4, as soon as I pull up, I get in the passenger seat. And I go, Ma, you know, we only have the car a couple more days. You know, you need to drive the car. And she gets in the car. Now, I didn't take her on Seminole Boulevard. I took her like just the back roads to the bank. And we got to the bank and she got out of the car and she flung the keys at me. And she said, I'm done. You're my chauffeur. But it was her choice.
Yes.
It was her choice. I had to scare her a little bit. But it meant a much better decision than her telling people I took her keys away. And I already told her she couldn't drive no more because I don't want that happening to me. Hear me?
You can take my keys anytime you want.
As long as they drive you around, though.
Well, I got friends.
I can't even drive
Once you,
anymore.
once you get your eyes back.
Yeah, once I get my eyes back. But yeah. So where can our listeners find you?
So you can find us on our website. Well, we have a Facebook, Angels on Call Cleaning, for both of them. And then our office number is 727-313-7892. And that will reach either myself or Nicole. But on our website and Facebook, you can book estimates on there and see a little bit more about us. And yeah.
Yeah, and get information. And
Get
you know what?
information.
Call any of their clients. They're going to tell you how absolutely fabulous they are.
Yes, we're verified in the Seminole Happenings page.
Which
and
is
very
good.
well recommended. So you can look us up and see all of our great reviews and know why people like us.
And she's my girl. Don't go away. It's time to hear from our wonderful partners. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week, so check them out.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
We believe the power of the human body and mind can do amazing things, and that tapping into that power, not just tricking it with a temporary disguise, is possible. Superpatch technology uses a special pattern and vibrotactile technology to help you go from feeling blah to hurrah. Now, once the Superpatch is in contact with your skin, it triggers a neutral response in the brainstem that helps you tackle your daily problems head on. Whether you're struggling with pain, balance, stress, or focus, we have a solution that might be right for you. With Superpatch's 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hi, this is Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. I started using the Liberty Patch over 3 years ago. I used to be a tripper, but since wearing a Liberty Patch, I haven't tripped once. The Liberty Patch is proven to reduce the risk of falling by up to 8 times. And as we all know, if you prevent the fall, you prevent the call. Don't wait until it's too late. Preventative solutions are the answer.
Superpatch does not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure illness. Superpatch is FDA registered. To receive 25% off your first order, go to sticktoit.info. That's sticktoit.info and learn more.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Oh my goodness. So I was at a health fair yesterday at 5 towns and representing my Super Patch company, drug-free patches for people. And there was a woman there who had a booth and it was called Wearable Words. That's where I got your bracelet. That's where I got my bracelet, a bunch of different things. And I think words are so important. And I think as caregivers, we need to, just not as caregivers, everybody, we need to watch our words. So years ago when I was going through a tough time, people would say to me, Linda, how you doing? And I would say, I'm hanging in there. And then one day I thought, who wants to hang in there? That's horrible. And when you say that to somebody, they don't even want to talk to you after that. Yeah, I'm hanging in there. Yeah, okay, good. Now I always say I'm joyful and grateful. And sometimes people look at me with a little nod of their head and I go, some days I'm joyfully challenged, but I'm always grateful. But if 10 people ask me a day, Linda, how you doing? Even the person in the supermarket, and I say I'm joyful and grateful, guess what? I'm joyful and grateful. So I met this woman yesterday and she said, yeah, and she's about my age. I'm going to be 72 this year. And she's like, yeah, all my friends are like, I'm old, I'm tired. And she said, I couldn't stand it anymore. Because if you walk around saying I'm old and tired, guess what? You'll be old and tired and you'll start putting your shoulders down and being like old and tired. So I'm going to ask her to make me some joyful and grateful bracelets.
That would be cute.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I like that.
In fact, I'm going to ask her to be on the show in a couple of weeks because I think our words are so important, you know, and what we say and what we do. So just think about that. So I think we told you one more event, a lunch and learn for veterans benefits, Thursday, June 12th, 11:30 to 1:30, sponsored by Arden Courts of Largo. You can RSVP to Michelle Lowak at 727-559-8411, co-sponsored by Veterans Funeral Care. They do a fabulous job. And one more here. It is Honor Fest for veterans on Sunday, May 25th. There'll be vendors, there'll be presentations. It's a whole great show and things all day long. So if you're interested in it, you can go to their website, and it's Honor Fest, HONORFEST.org. We need to honor our veterans. No veteran should be homeless. No veteran should be having any issues. No veteran should be left alone, because we would not have our country and what we have if it was not for our veterans. Also, Maryanne gave me this today. Plan ahead for peace of mind. You can save money with Sunstar First Care. So Sunstar First Care is an ambulance membership. So for a single membership, it's $89 a year. And for a family membership, it's $133. So hopefully you don't have to go in ambulances often. But if you do, it can be very expensive.
Very expensive.
Very expensive. And there's some people that that happens. It's their situation, so they need an ambulance. So I want you to consider this, because many times we just call 911. Besides, you're going to have to pay more money. 911 doesn't need to be coming over there to help you get off the floor or to help you get out of the toilet. 911 needs to be there for that car accident where someone is really hurt badly, or that person that had a heart attack or something like that. So we need to be responsible for ourselves as we age and what we take care of in our whole community. So please consider that. You can go to their website, pinellas.gov/firstcare, or for more information, you can call 727-582-2008. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. You know how much I love you guys. Remember, I'm here to help you with anything I can, and if I don't know the answer, I will find someone. Thank you, Maryanne, for being here today. Thank you, Skylar Lurch, for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And if you need help, these ladies are here to help you. Tune in next week.
Thank you, Lynn, for being here today.
Oh, thank you, Lynn, for being here today. I could not do it without you. Tune in next week for another fabulous show. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.